The crisp morning air of a Chicago autumn drifted through the cracked kitchen window as Caroline Harper stood by the stove, her eyes lingering on the golden red leaves. Outside, the chill from Lake Michigan rattled the glass panes like a quiet warning of the winter to come. Amelia, time to wake up. Which city are you watching from? Drop it in the comments. And hey, make sure you watch till the end. Something's going to happen that you won't see coming. She called out toward the second floor. No answer. Caroline frowned and glanced at the clock. 7:30 a.m. She had a major presentation at the ad agency today, where she worked as an art director. There wasn't a second to spare. She headed up the stairs and knocked on her daughter's bedroom door. A small, weak voice came through. Mom, my head hurts. Inside, 10-year-old Amelia lay curled under the blankets, her cheeks flushed. Caroline placed a hand on her daughter's forehead, concern washing over her face. She didn't feel particularly warm, but something was definitely off. Another headache, sweetheart? She asked gently, stroking Amelia's hair. The episodes had become frequent headaches, fatigue, even fevers. Lately, Caroline had received more than one call from Amelia's school nurse. Her little girl, normally so bubbly and full of life, had been running on empty for weeks. Do you want to stay home today? Amelia stared at the ceiling for a few moments, then slowly shook her head. We have a science experiment today. I don't want to miss it. Caroline admired her bravery, even if she could see through it. All right, she said softly, but if you feel worse, you call the school, okay? After breakfast, Caroline dropped her daughter off. As they parted at the school gate, Amelia hugged her tight. I love you, Mom. I love you too, sweetheart. Watching her daughter walk into the building, a wave of heaviness settled on Caroline's chest. 6 years earlier, she had ended her 10-year marriage to Travis Harper. His cheating, his angry drunken nights, she had endured them too long. The courts gave him limited visitation, but 3 years ago, he vanished. No calls, no child support, no trace. When she got to the office, her colleague Mark Jensen approached, brows raised. You're late again. Client presentation in an hour. I know, Caroline replied with a tired sigh, powering on her laptop. Amelia hasn't been feeling great. Mark's expression softened. He knew her story, knew she was doing everything she could as a single mom. She okay? Need anything? Thanks, Mark. I'll manage. But even as she reviewed the presentation materials, Caroline's mind drifted. Amelia's faraway stares lately. Something wasn't right. Around noon, her phone rang. The caller ID made her heart clench. Lincoln Elementary School. This is Caroline Harper, Miss Harper. This is Jennifer, the school nurse. Amelia collapsed during class. Her fever is high. She's resting now, but she looks very unwell. The color drained from Caroline's face. I'm coming. Right now, she explained the emergency to Mark and rushed out. 20 minutes later, she was by Amelia's side in the infirmary. Her daughter's skin burned with fever. Her breathing was labored. She's coughing, struggling to breathe, the nurse said. Caroline didn't wait. She took Amelia straight to the nearest hospital. The doctor's face was grim after the x-rays. Severe pneumonia. We need to admit her and begin 4 antibiotics immediately. Amelia was fitted with an oxygen mask and wheeled into the pediatric ward. Caroline gripped her hand tightly. I'm here, sweetheart. I'm not going anywhere. In the hallway, Dr. Patrick Moore, the attending physician, explained the treatment plan. She'll need to stay a few days. Rest and 4 meds are key right now. Caroline sighed and buried her head in her hands. I have a huge project deadline tomorrow, Doctor. Moore offered a reassuring nod. Nurse Bethany will be in charge of her care. She's great with kids. Trustworthy. Back in the room, a gentle-looking woman entered with a warm smile. Hi, I'm Bethany. I'll be looking after Amelia. Caroline shook her hand, her grip trembling slightly. Thank you, she whispered. Bethany smiled. We'll take good care of her. Caroline stayed by Amelia's bedside that evening, stroking her hair until she finally drifted off to sleep. The next morning, Caroline stopped by early. Amelia was still feverish, but calmer. Her fever's starting to drop, Bethany said. The antibiotics seemed to be helping. Caroline exhaled with relief. Thank you, Bethany. I really appreciate it. You've got work, right? Don't worry. I'll stay close. Caroline kissed Amelia's forehead and left for the office. It was a chaotic day of deadlines, but her daughter stayed on her mind. During her lunch break, she called, Hey, sweetie, how are you feeling? It still hurts when I breathe, Amelia said softly, but it's better than this morning. Are you okay if I'm not there tonight? Caroline asked. I have to prep for the morning meeting. Okay. But Caroline couldn't shake the feeling that Amelia was holding something back. When she returned to the hospital that evening, Amelia's face had changed. Fear replaced her earlier calm. What's wrong, honey? Caroline asked, sitting beside her. Amelia looked around hesitantly before whispering, someone came into my room last night. Caroline's heart skipped a beat. You mean Nurse Bethany? Amelia shook her head slowly. No, it wasn't her. I woke up, and there was someone else. A woman, but not Bethany. Caroline gently touched Amelia's forehead. Her fever had come down slightly, but this sudden fear in her eyes was troubling. You might have imagined it, sweetie. Fever dreams can feel real sometimes. It wasn't a dream, Amelia said firmly, her voice small but insistent. She talked to me. Caroline called for the evening nurse, Nancy, and explained what Amelia had said. Nancy nodded with a kind but cautious smile. Some antibiotics can cause hallucinations in children, and high fevers can lead to vivid dreams. It's not unusual. Caroline tried to accept that, but Amelia's serious gaze wouldn't leave her mind. That night, Caroline stayed in the room late, working from her laptop after Amelia fell asleep. But with her presentation looming and her concentration frayed, she eventually returned home. Over the next 2 days, Amelia's pneumonia began to improve. But her disturbing stories didn't stop. Every night, she'd tell her mother someone came into her room. On the third evening, Caroline arrived to find her daughter with deep shadows under her eyes. Amelia, haven't you been sleeping? The girl avoided her mother's gaze. I'm scared. Why, sweetheart? Because when it's dark, they come again. Caroline's chest tightened. Who comes? The woman. She talks to me. She says nice things. But sometimes, a man comes too. He scares me. Despite Amelia's physical recovery, Caroline could see her emotional state was spiraling. She spoke to Dr. Moore, who recommended a psychological counselor. It's common, he explained, for children to experience anxiety in hospitals, the unfamiliar setting, the machines, the loneliness. Caroline agreed, and after a few sessions with the counselor, she felt some relief. The therapist described Amelia's story as a typical response to stress, but that night, Amelia clung to her mother's arm tightly. Mom, don't leave tonight, please. Those people, they'll come again. Caroline looked into her daughter's wide, frightened eyes. Can you tell me more about them? She asked gently. Amelia was silent for a while. The woman is tall, with black hair. She always says, Amelia, you're such a special child. Caroline swallowed. And the man? She asked. Amelia's voice trembled. He says, it's almost time. I don't know what that means, but it's scary. That was enough. The next morning, Caroline searched for Nurse Bethany to share what Amelia had said, but an unfamiliar nurse approached her in the hallway. Are you looking for someone? I'm looking for Bethany. Oh, she's off today. I'm Erin, filling in on this floor. Erin was young, polite, and seemed compassionate. When Caroline explained her daughter's ongoing stories, Erin's brows furrowed in concern. Actually, Erin said hesitantly, there's been a minor issue here recently. One of the staff lost their ID badge, so security's been tightened. Lost ID? Caroline asked, her stomach dropping. Yeah, Erin replied with a serious expression. If someone got a hold of it, they could slip in. We've doubled night patrols in the pediatric ward just to be safe. But really, I wouldn't worry. Kids can imagine a lot. Caroline nodded, but doubt began to creep in. Could it really be a coincidence? Amelia's stories. And now this security breach? That evening at work, Caroline couldn't focus. Her instincts screamed that something was wrong. She made a decision. She told Mark to take over her presentation the next morning, then called the hospital to request special permission to stay overnight. The administrator approved. It's all right, Erin said. Having you nearby will ease her mind. That night, Caroline read to Amelia until she fell asleep, then quietly slipped into the family rest area nearby. She lay down, but sleep didn't come. BYPM. She sat up, her heart racing. She needed to know, once and for all. That night, the hospital's pediatric ward was dimly lit, with only the soft glow of the nurse's station providing light in the hallway. Caroline stood in the shadows outside Amelia's room, her nerves taut. Midnight came and went. The silence was broken only by the occasional creak of the building and the soft shuffle of nurses making their rounds. Then at 12:30 a.m. a small ding echoed down the hallway. The elevator. Caroline stiffened, pulling deeper into the shadows. But it was only a nurse on night rounds. She passed by without noticing her. Time dragged on. Caroline battled sleep, forcing herself to stay alert. Amelia's terrified face etched in her mind. Then, just after 2 o'clock a.m., she heard faint footsteps echoing from the stairwell. Someone was coming. A woman in a white nurse's uniform appeared from the far end of the hall. Caroline's heart pounded in her chest. The woman walked slowly, cautiously, looking around as if checking for witnesses. She passed the nurse's station without stopping. Her uniform looked off slightly baggy, the fit awkward. Her movements were unnatural, stiff like someone pretending to belong. She paused at Amelia's door, looked around once more. Then quietly, she slipped inside. Caroline's pulse spiked. She crept forward, silently approaching the door and peeking. Through the small gap, her breath caught. Inside, the woman sat beside Amelia's bed, gently stroking her daughter's hair. Amelia appeared to be asleep, her breathing steady, her face peaceful. The woman was whispering, "It's almost time, Amelia. You're such a wonderful child. Mommy and Daddy are waiting for you." A cold wave of terror rippled through Caroline's spine. Mommy? The woman had long black hair, a slim build, exactly what Amelia had described. Then from her pocket, the woman pulled out something, a small cloth doll. She placed it beside Amelia's pillow, her face softening into a smile. "This is for you, a gift from our new family." Caroline's instincts screamed. Something was very, very wrong. Suddenly, the woman's demeanor shifted. Her expression stiffened as she turned toward the door, as if hearing something. "He's here," she whispered to Amelia. "See you tomorrow, my sweet girl." She stood and moved swiftly toward the window. Caroline's mind raced. What was she doing? Before she could act, heavy footsteps echoed from the hallway. A man's footsteps. Panicked, Caroline ducked into the shadows again. The figure that emerged wore a janitor's uniform. Medium height, broad shoulders, a faded tattoo barely visible. Near his neck, he walked cautiously, looking around. Then, he entered Amelia's room. Caroline peeked inside once more. The woman was gone. The curtain by the window swayed softly, but she was nowhere in sight. The man stepped to the bedside and stared at Amelia. Then his gaze fell on the doll. He smiled faintly. "So, Lisa was here." He reached out, brushing Amelia's cheek. "It's almost time, Amelia. Daddy's going to take you away. We'll be a family again." Amelia's eyes fluttered open, at first confused, then afraid. "Who are you?" she whispered, her voice shaking. "Don't you remember?" the man said with a chilling smile. "I'm your daddy." Amelia's voice trembled. No, you're not, Mom." Caroline couldn't take it anymore. She shoved the door open and charged in. "Get away from her." The man froze. Their eyes met. Caroline's breath hitched. It was Travis, her ex-husband. The man who disappeared 3 years ago. "Caroline," he growled, his voice low and threatening. "I'm calling security," she shouted. Travis lunged for the door. Caroline tried to block him, but he shoved her aside. She hit the floor hard, pain radiating through her arm. Amy ran to her mother, sobbing. That man, he was scary. Caroline wrapped her arms around her daughter. "You're safe now, I promise." Alarms blared down the hallway. Nurses rushed in, but Travis was gone. The window was open. The curtain flapped in the wind. The emergency. Stairs outside were his escape route. Caroline trembled. Her whole body shook. If she had arrived minutes later, what would have happened to her daughter? Security guards arrived within minutes. One of them gently took the sobbing Amelia aside, while another helped Caroline to her feet. She clutched the small cloth doll in her trembling hand. They were trying to take my daughter," she said, her voice raw. The doll, seemingly harmless, now felt like a twisted symbol. She handed it to the guard. "Please, use this as evidence." The chaos in the room had spilled into the hallway. Other patients peeked from their doors, and nurses whispered among themselves. A short while later, the police arrived. Caroline and Amelia were moved to a quieter room for questioning. A sharp-eyed detective with a calm presence entered. Detective Rachel Reed. She sat across from Caroline, listening carefully as the shaken mother recounted everything. Occasionally, she scribbled notes, her expression unreadable. "Your ex-husband's name?" "Travis Harper," Caroline said, her voice cracking. We divorced 6 years ago. He disappeared 3 years back, no contact since. And tonight? You came face to face with him again, Detective Reed confirmed. Caroline nodded, hugging Amelia close. The little girl trembled beside her. Detective Reed turned to Amelia. Can you tell me a bit more about the woman you saw? Amelia looked up at her mom. Caroline nodded gently. She had long black hair. She was really pretty. She came at night and said we'd become a new family, Amelia whispered. She called herself Mommy. Reed's eyes narrowed slightly. We're reviewing hospital security footage right now. Please stay here until we have more information. After Reed left the room, Caroline held Amelia tightly, tears finally falling. It's over now. You're safe, baby girl. Amelia looked up, scared. That man, he's not really my daddy, right? Caroline's throat tightened. He was, but not anymore. A real daddy never scares his daughter. 30 minutes passed. Detective Reed returned. Her face was more serious than before. We confirmed Travis Harper has been entering and exiting the hospital for several nights, dressed in a janitor's uniform, mostly after midnight. Caroline swallowed hard, but Reed paused. There's no footage of the woman. None at all. Caroline blinked. But I saw her. So did Amelia. I believe you, Reed replied. But she must have used camera blind spots, maybe the emergency stairwell or service corridors. Then Caroline remembered. The doll. The one she left by Amelia's pillow. Did you get prints from it? We've secured it as evidence, Reed confirmed. We're running forensics now. Just then, another detective stepped into the room and whispered something to Reed. Her face shifted. Miss Harper, can I ask, do you know what Travis has been doing the past 3 years? Anything? Caroline shook her head. Nothing. He vanished. He stopped child support. Even our lawyer couldn't trace him. Reed nodded grimly. He was questioned once for domestic violence, but not indicted. Then she added quietly, we found his car in the hospital parking lot. With a warrant, we searched it. Caroline leaned forward, her pulse pounding. Inside the car, detectives had discovered forged ID cards, a bottle of sleeping pills, a duplicate passport for Amelia, an enrollment form for a school in Columbus, Ohio. Amelia's name on it was listed as Amelia Wilson. Caroline's heart dropped. Wilson? Reed nodded. We also found a photo of Travis with a woman. She showed Caroline the image on her phone. There he was, Travis, smiling with a beautiful dark-haired woman clinging to his side. That's her, Caroline whispered. That's the woman, the one who came to Amelia. Her name is Lisa Wilson. She married Travis 3 years ago. Everything clicked. Lisa had been trying to steal her daughter. Reed continued. Lisa has congenital infertility. Her parents say she's been telling people for the last year that she'd soon be a mother. Caroline's skin crawled. They planned this, she muttered. They were going to kidnap her. Detective Reed nodded gravely. That's exactly what we believe. The sleeping pills, forged documents, and fake school registration. They were close to executing their plan. Amelia shuddered and clung to her mother's waist. Caroline held her tighter than ever before. We've issued a multi-state alert for both Travis Harper and Lisa Wilson, Reed said. We'll find them. The room fell silent. Caroline could barely think. The man she once married had become a stranger, a threat. And Lisa, a woman she'd never met, had tried to steal her daughter's life. The hospital room was quiet now, but Caroline's mind raced with questions. Why would Travis do this? What had happened to the man she once loved that he'd planned something so twisted? Mom, was I really going to be taken away? Amelia's small voice broke through the silence. Caroline looked down at her, tears in her eyes. I don't even want to think about what could have happened. I'm so grateful you're here, safe. By the next morning, the hospital buzzed back to life, but Caroline and Amelia were moved to a secure room, now under full police protection. Dr. Moore, Amelia's attending physician, stopped by and gently suggested she remain hospitalized for a few more days. With everything that's happened, she needs time to rest, physically and emotionally. Later that afternoon, Nurse Bethany returned to duty. Her expression was solemn and full of guilt. I'm so sorry, she said softly. I never imagined anything like this could happen. Caroline gave her a tired but kind smile. It's not your fault. You took care of her when I couldn't. None of us saw this coming. A few hours later, Detective Reed returned this time. Her face carried a flicker of relief. We got him, she said. Travis was caught at a checkpoint in Indiana. He was trying to cross state lines. Caroline let out a breath she hadn't realized she'd been holding. Thank God. What about Lisa? Still missing, Reed replied. But we've placed her family home under surveillance. It's only a matter of time. She placed a hand gently on Caroline's shoulder. You saved your daughter's life. Most parents dismiss their child's fears, but you listened. You trusted her. That made all the difference. Caroline looked over at Amelia, who was peacefully napping on the couch by the window. Her face looked lighter now. The constant fear was gone, replaced by a fragile peace. I just did what any mother would do, she whispered. That night, under a clear, star-filled sky, Caroline sat beside Amelia, holding her small hand. Though fear still pulsed in her chest, she felt something stronger now, a sense of calm, of gratitude, of resilience. There was still so much they didn't understand: why Travis had become this person, what exactly Lisa believed, how they came to fixate on Amelia. But one thing was clear: nothing would ever come between Caroline and her daughter. As she stared out the hospital window, Caroline found herself asking a quiet question: what really makes a family? Blood or love? Travis was Amelia's biological father, but that didn't make him family anymore. What Caroline and Amelia shared was something deeper, something unbreakable. Just then, the door creaked open. Erin, the newer nurse, peeked in and gave a small smile. Good night. You can sleep peacefully now. Caroline nodded. Tomorrow would mark a new beginning, one built not on fear, but on love, strength, and healing. The days passed, and life began to return to normal for Caroline and Amelia. The hospital room no longer felt like a cage, but a temporary safe haven. Amelia's recovery was slow but steady. The bruises on her soul would take longer to heal than the ones on her body. As the calendar flipped, autumn turned to winter, and Carol's once frantic life started to settle. Amelia's 11th birthday was just around the corner. Carol had planned a small party at home, something simple, something peaceful. It was her daughter's day, and she wanted to celebrate every second of it. The evening of the party arrived. Family and friends filled the house, laughter and chatter filling the air. Amelia was glowing, a smile stretched across her face, something that had been missing for so long. She blew out the candles on her cake, making a wish. For the first time in weeks, her eyes shone bright, filled with hope. Carol watched her daughter with pride and relief. The sparkle in her eyes was back, something she thought she might never see again. After the terror they'd endured, as Carol passed the cake around, she couldn't help but feel a deep sense of gratitude. Through all the pain, through the months of fear, she had kept her daughter safe. They had weathered the storm, and now, with a new season on the horizon, they could finally move forward, stronger than before. After the guests left and the house grew quiet, Carol sat on the couch with Amelia and David, her colleague from the advertising agency who had become her rock in the past year. Their relationship had deepened since the incident, and now, they spent weekends together, finding solace in each other's company. Thank you, Carol whispered, her head resting against David's shoulder as they watched Amelia play with a new gift, a golden retriever puppy named Bella, who had quickly become Amelia's best friend. David smiled. You're welcome. You've come so far, Carol. The three of them sat there together, watching the twilight sky as night fell. It was simple, it was quiet, but it was theirs, a family built not by blood, but by trust, love, and everything they'd endured together. As Amelia giggled and played with Bella, Carol's heart swelled. She had her daughter. She had David. They were a family, in every sense of the word. The pain of the past year, the terror they had lived through, seemed so far away in that peaceful moment. And that was when Amelia turned to Carol with a thoughtful expression. Mom, she said, I wrote an essay at school today about family. Carol smiled softly, brushing a strand of hair from Amelia's face. What did you write about? Amelia looked up at her, the words coming slowly, thoughtfully. I wrote that real family isn't about blood. Family is about the people who make you feel safe, the ones who love you no matter what. Carol's heart fluttered. Her daughter had learned the same lesson she had. David squeezed her shoulder gently. She's right. Carol kissed Amelia on the forehead, smiling through her tears. I'm so proud of you. And as the three of them sat together, the night settling around them, Carol knew that everything would be okay. They had each other, and that was all that truly mattered.